Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the Stay at Home Son Film Podcast. And today we're starting off hot with a very special guest. I have indie film actor Thomas Tarter on the podcast today, and he has just got done with his very first feature film, which he had a starring role in. And it was awesome, by the way, Thomas. But without further ado, Thomas, want to introduce yourself? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jake. I mean, it wouldn't have been possible without you in the film as well. So,
Yeah, man. Like I said, you did an amazing job, and I really thoroughly enjoyed watching it. But we need to start with for first role, man. This was crazy having a feature length film for your very first role. How does that feel, and how did you go about getting that role?
well, I mean, it kind of started as Jake came up to me and he's like, Thomas, do you want to be in my film? Because, we're tight.
Right.
And I'm like, sure, what else do I have to do? I mean, that was my last semester before I graduated college. I only had two classes left. So I'm like, I'm open to trying new things. So I'm like, might as well try acting.
Yeah, and like I said, you have like that natural ability for acting. So was acting something you always were kind of interested in, or did it just kind of come up later? Like what's your story with that?
Well, I thought about it here and there, but I never really dove into it until I was offered the role on Payne's branch. I majored in mass communications. I was honestly looking more into doing producing news segments and stuff, but I still haven't found a job in that yet. And also, it's like more of like a cutthroat industry, which I kind of didn't like. So I think acting is just like more like laid back and kind of create my own schedule, live anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. So.
Got you.
Work
And
out.
one of the things that I noticed about your acting in the film, which is what I kind of was going for as directing it, is a lot of improv acting. And that's something that scares a lot of actors because a lot of people love their scripts and they love knowing what they're going to say. And I think you did an exceptional job improving and coming up with very good, believable dialogue on the fly. So, what tips would you give to actors who might want to take on an improv role like that?
Well, I think one of the things that really helped me is that I kind of already have built a relationship with my co-star, so we kind of already knew each other, so we were able to build each other off more. But I mean, just pretend like you're having a natural conversation. And the thing is, like, even if you mess up, you can do it over again. I mean, I don't know how many times I had to think about something and then I messed up a line, so then I have to go into it all to do it all over again.
Yeah. And what would you say some of the benefits of improv acting are versus traditional script acting?
I think more so you can be yourself because like when you're doing a script acting, you are you are more at the beck and call of the director. So it's kind of like what he wants you to be, as opposed to like an improv where you are told, okay, this is what I was told when I was in the filming process was this is a general idea of what we're doing. So think of something and go along with that. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'll start up a conversation about the subject and be myself. So I
Yeah,
think that's the
you
biggest piece of advice I could give, be yourself.
Yeah, you definitely did because that film has a very interesting quality to it where it literally feels like just two people having a conversation, and you did an amazing job delivering those lines where it doesn't seem like acting. It didn't seem like acting, it seemed like living the role. So I think that's something that's kind of cool about improv too. Like when you're doing it, you really get to live the role of the film, which I think is important. And I think you did an amazing job with that. But yeah, so what's the next steps for Thomas now that you got your first feature out? What are you planning on doing? How do you want to progress your acting career? What's in the next what's coming up next for Thomas?
Well, that's still yet to be determined, but right now I'm still looking at job postings. But my plan right now is to save up some money, eventually find my own place, and see if they have any acting gigs there, whether it's improv, And that's another piece of advice I give for aspiring actors too. Like find anything, even if it's like behind the scenes, like being the gaffer or the camera operator or you know, an assistant director or even like an intern or something. Just find anything you can and you can move up. But right now, I want to see how my first film just came out, so I'm taking a little bit of a break just to see how that does,
Right.
and then see where I go and progress in my acting career.
That's awesome, dude. And like I said, it must be a whirlwind having your first film out, and it's on now two streaming platforms and more to come. And I bet that must feel pretty good being able to sit back and watch your acting. But going into it, what are three things that you expected it to be like on your first role, and then what are three things that went differently than you expected?
Well, I mean, with the improv, I definitely expect I kinda went in expecting it to be more conversational, but, like, I would say one thing I didn't expect is just, like, I guess, like, the pacing of it, because like, I've never done horror stuff before, like, I've seen horror movies here and there, but, like, I didn't really know, like, how a horror movie will work. I really didn't know how, like, more of, like, an indie film style would work, because like, when you go on YouTube or whatever and you see, like, behind the scenes, uh, movie movie videos, it's usually, like, some film that's, like, $1 million budget, and they have, like, God knows how many people behind the scenes, how many actors. So, it just being, like, 2 people in this film, I think that was definitely an adjustment too.
Yeah,
But
it was a truly two-man offer. I mean, we were sleeping on the floor, staying up all night, and that's just some of the sacrifices you got to make to be enacted. And you want to name some of those sacrifices that you had to make this your final semester of college?
I think definitely you're gonna be tired, because I mean, I was exhausted, because like, during the first half of filming, I was still in my final semester of college, so I'm like, I'm trying to juggle doing exams and finals and studying and everything with doing my acting stuff. And then when summer comes along, well, I needed a source of income too, so I had to take like a side gig in the back of a restaurant to save up some income while also doing some filming. So you will be tired.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a tiring process, but I think we did a really good job of when it was time to film, putting all that tiredness aside and going out there and giving our all in those performances. Like I said, I can't commend your performance enough. It was amazing. And what do you think was the hardest part of the shooting? Like, was there a scene in particular that really took a lot of takes? Was there some times you were very mentally challenged on certain of the takes? I mean, where was the time where you were like, man, this is really freaking hard? Because I feel like every movie has one scene that just sticks out to them. Like that took forever.
One s one scene in particular I can point out was the first scene. I don't know how many, like, I was watching the movie with my parents, and we were watching that first scene where we were on the log. I don't know how many times I practiced that night to see how their patterns have changed. Like, I'm sitting there just like over and over again just to get one line right. So, I mean, I think definitely the first one's the hardest one. I think it took us like a month. Then, like, also, I would say one of the harder parts of the movie too was when we set up the second trail cam, because like, we would get there early, and still there was like the shooting range next to the site, so we would always have to restart, and
uh,
that was kind of frustrating. But after a while, I got it. So
Man, I'll tell you what, that shooting range, I don't ever want to be near that shooting range again. And that was so, oh gosh, we had so many things we had to work around, and we'll get into all that. But now that you have the film out and you've watched yourself back, what's a part of a scene that you really liked, like a scene that you were in that you acted like, wow, I really did a good job? Because I think about 10 come to mind for me that I was like, Thomas really did an amazing job on this scene. But is there one in particular that you were really proud of?
um I think my dialogue before the final scene, where where I get attacked by the bear.
Yeah, it was pretty good. You had to sell that scene a little bit, and I think you did a good job. And in a weird way, I think your kind of newness to horror and not really knowing what to expect, in a way, kind of made your acting pretty good in the film because you didn't really know what to expect. And in horror, that's kind of all it is. You know, you're trying to react to stuff and you're seeing what's coming next. So I think you not watching a lot of horror movies actually helped you in this film because it made it seem more realistic. Because I feel like if a lot of actors who want to go into horror, they have it, oh, we have to do it this way because this is how it is. But I think that you went into it just with an open mind and it really showed in your performance.
I think it also helped me like know like what to do and what not to do when you were like showing me like some of the more popular ones like the Blair Witch Project, and like what's we watched? We watched a little bit of Chucky and a couple other ones. She's like, well, these are cliche things you want to avoid, but these are like some of the good things they did. So I'm like, okay.
So you would recommend for actors if they ever got a script or a role in a horror film that they should watch up and brush up on some horror just so they kind of have a little bit of a baseline?
Yeah, I would say like one or two, and like I said, like watch like the really like mainstream ones just to like see like, okay, well, this is cliche shay, so I shouldn't do this.
Yeah, because it's that's the thing in horror. Everyone's like avoid the cliches, but sometimes you have to just because of just there's only so much you can do, right? But I think we did a pretty good job avoiding cliches and making it pretty interesting. And a lot of that was based off your acting. So another thing that I thought was very interesting about the film, and you had a kind of interesting experience, is that the director, me, was also your co-star in the film. So what was it like working that close with a director and also having him as your actor and co-star as well? Because I feel like that's a unique opportunity that not a lot of actors ever had to work around.
Well, I thought it was a very interesting experience. I think I kind of knew that it was going to be like that going in because it's like, okay, we're doing this with no money, um, so we have to figure out how to do it without like a big cast and stuff. So I'm like, okay, it's fun. I think it actually helped me like ease into acting a little bit more because you're like, okay, just do it this way, as opposed to like having a director like yell at me and like tell me like this is wrong. And it's like, I could do as many takes as I want with you as my co-star and my director. It's kind of like I'm into hockey, so it's kind of like when Mario Lemieux unretired and was the general manager player on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Felt like you're kind of like playing like both roles, like you're director and co-star, but it's not uncommon. I mean, in the music industry, you have people like write their own songs and sing them. So,
Yeah, I think it kind of adds to a very interesting dynamic in the film because we're kind of living the film. Like the whole time I was just like, let's try to live this film. I mean, those days that we shot those scenes, it literally felt like we were living every part of that day, which is just crazy. And talking about living the film, because a lot of times when indie actors get their first role, they're not really going to get a role with a big budget. Like we were living off Celsiuses and gas station food for a while. So, what would you tell actors going into if they did get a script on one of these lower budget indie films? Like, what would you expect?
um, I'm not expect this to what.
Oh, expect like what should they go into thinking like a lot of hands-on stuff? Should they be willing to work long hours? Like, what's it like being on that low budget indie set?
Like you said, I would definitely expect long hours, like Celsius's. Lattes at Sheets were nice.
Oh yeah, they definitely came in clutch. Very, and those coffees. What was that you got? You used to get us like those caramel. Those things were so good.
Yeah, it was like a hot caramel latte or something. The large one, the 24 ounce.
Yeah, it's funny because they actually make a cameo in the movie. We had like four of those in the cup in the movie. I thought that was kind of funny. So y'all, that's a filmmaking tip right there. Go get your cast some Sheets coffee. But
But
yeah,
I would
dude.
also
Oh yeah, you keep going.
Yeah, but I would also say, like, I think one of the things I, like, didn't expect, I went into it and I'm like, "Oh," at first I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna nail it, and we're gonna be over it shooting, like, really quickly," but it's like, no, you have to do, like, over and over and over again until you get it right. Because otherwise, if you put out garbage, like, you're not gonna succeed as an actor or filmmaker, so, like, be prepared to, like, do the same lines over and over and over again. Like, when I watched the movie, I still remembered every one of those lines.
Right? Isn't it weird like watching the movie back after you were actually in it and you see the scene? Because I feel like the viewers see the scene, but we see the scene and what went into making that scene. So you have a very unique like perspective on the thing you're watching. It's really weird. I'm still kind of learning how that is when you watch your own films back because it's like you're critiquing it, but also you're kind of like nostalgic about it at the same time. It's really interesting. But one thing interesting about found footage and acting in found footage is that you are kind of in a way the DP. You're the director of photography. I mean, you were filming me on your scenes and you were filming other things on your scenes. So, how was it going into using the camera and how were you able to use that camera so well? Was it using your major or how were you able to go about that?
Well, another piece of advice I would give is learn both sides if you want, whether you want to be an actor or director. I would like whether you want to whatever kind of communications you want to go to, even if you want to like write for the newspaper or go on the news or act in a movie or whatever. I would say learn both sides of the trade, like be like on camera and behind the camera, because both will come in handy, and you'll know like what the other side is feeling as you're filming or as you're acting. So it took me quite a while to learn some of the production stuff. So I'd say, especially since the production stuff like changes every like 5, 10 years, I would say definitely like get your hands on a camera, and I'm not saying you have to like do it like Hollywood style since it's like indie filmmaking, but like, learn how to like make the sound correct and put stuff in focus and make it look good for the movie.
Got you. And I think you did an amazing job with that. And I think having that, backhand knowledge of all parts of filmmaking, not just being on camera, I think really does help. And I think that's great advice that you gave filmmakers about just going out there and immersing yourself with as many different things as you can be. If you want to learn audio, go and learn audio. If you want to learn editing, because the more you know, the better. And I totally think that that film and this film that you're in is an example of that. So I just want to commend you on that. And one other thing is, now that the film's over, what are the things that you are most proud of for your performance? Like, what are the things that you're like, wow, I really think I did a good job there?
I think completing the movie because honestly, there were some points of filming that we didn't know if we were gonna finish the movie or not.
Oh God, yeah, don't remind me, man. That was some PTSD right there.
So that was just finishing was definitely more than a lot of people could say. So I was very proud of myself for sticking with it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think sticking with it's a big thing because there's a lot of times that we could have quit. I mean, they don't even know. I broke my foot halfway through production of this film, and we had to go back to college after just graduating, and it was a mess. But like I said, I think we believed in the idea so much that it was like it never really felt like work. I mean, did it feel like work to you? It always just felt like fun to me.
no, it's just, and that's another pro of doing a movie with somebody you know. It just felt like us hanging out.
Right. And you would recommend maybe for indie actors to maybe go out and try to make their own projects with their friends instead of just waiting for a role to come to them. Like make your own ideas and get your friends and maybe go out there and build a community and make a movie yourself. Because there's really no one now with the technology being as cheap as it is to tell you any other different way you can have to do it. So I think that's we're kind of a good example of going out there and building a network of filmmakers and making stuff your own.
I would definitely agree with that. I would also say just start to kind of like ease into it because we kind of did a couple. Just like start by making like little shorts for YouTube or TikTok or for Instagram or whatever. Just like kind of like slowly ease into it instead of making a full length hour film.
Gotcha. And I think that's good advice too. And what are the goals that you have for this film? Is there anything that you want to see it happen? Any streaming platforms in particular you want to see it on?
Um, right now we are on two streaming platforms. So just to get on like as many platforms as we can, maybe it to explode enough to get on like really big ones like Netflix.
Yeah,
But
that
I
would be
think that's
nice.
just the big goals to get on to get the movie out as many places as possible.
Yeah, just flood the market with Payne's Branch content. Let everyone know about that bear going over that trail cam.
Mm.
But dude, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. I think you gave indie filmmakers a lot of really good knowledge, a lot of practical knowledge of how to get their first role and how to go about it. And like I said, Thomas, I think you did an amazing job and you were the perfect actor for this role. I would literally have never gave it to anyone else. You were exactly what this film needed and you did amazing. And I'm just happy to have you on the very first episode of Stay at Home Son podcast, Thomas. Thanks so much for your time.
All right, it was a pleasure, and stay motivated. Those of you that want to be actors, filmmakers, just keep trying.
Stay motivated. That is the best advice for anything in film.